Literally half of motorcycle camping is riding a motorcycle to get to where you're camping. I know, revelatory science here on MotoCamp Nerd today. We've talked in the past a little bit about ways to make your cooler weather motorcycle camping experiences better, but today I want to talk a little bit about how to make getting there a little bit more tolerable and enjoyable when you're riding your motorcycle in the cooler and wetter weather in the winter. I'm fortunate enough to live in a place where you can pretty much ride motorcycles all year round as long as you don't mind getting a little cold and wet. Even if you aren't as lucky as I am, there is that shoulder season, that area between when it's frozen solid and when it is super sunny and nice, where you're still gonna maybe wanna get out when the weather is a little bit less than perfect. So today I wanna talk about ways to stay warm and dry while you're riding your motorcycle, whether you're going camping or not. And the first tip I have for you for riding in cooler and wetter weather is base layers. We like the -33 here at MotoCamp Nerd because that's what we sell, but I've also had success going to like Sierra Outfitters and finding cheaper base layers, but I will wear just a base layer under my riding pants down to freezing, down to 32 degrees or 0 degrees for you Fahrenheit types, and I stay pretty much comfortable. So those base layers are a major game changer, and bonus, you just keep wearing them once you get to camp because they also keep you warm just wandering around camp. So I highly recommend those, and not just chest and pants, but also 2 layers of socks can make a huge difference. You can layer up your gloves. You can put glove liners in your motorcycle gloves and then just wear the liners around camp. Base layers are a real game changer. Another thing you can do in terms of layering, for your hands anyway, if you carry a pair of those nitrile or latex examination gloves with you and you get caught in a sudden rainstorm, you can put those on either under or over your motorcycle gloves and they'll keep your hands dry. I don't recommend doing that for a long period of time because they'll sweat, they won't breathe, so eventually your hands get wet on the inside of the glove, but those can be a game changer in cold and wet weather when you're just trying to get home. Tip number 2 is all about that outer layer. Now, obviously, the first part of this tip is make sure your outer layer is waterproof. This is useful most times of the year, but even more so in the winter and the spring and the fall when the weather can change on you unexpectedly. MotoCamp Nerd is now selling a ton of great gear from Climb. So if you want Climb gear with Gore-Tex, you can get it directly from motocampnerd.com. You can buy gear with an integrated waterproof liner like the Climb gear or the Rocky Mountain gear or the Moscow Moto gear with the Event liner or the Gore-Tex liner. Or another option is to carry a separate external waterproof layer. Some jackets come with that extra layer, so you buy it as part of like a 3-in-1 jacket, or you can just buy them separately specifically for motorcycle riding, or you can just go out and buy some frog togs or some kind of waterproof external layer. Even like a cheap poncho will work in a pinch. And bonus, you can wear that then in camp to keep you dry even after you've taken off your riding gear. In a pinch, and I don't recommend doing this all the time, but you can take a big garbage bag, rip holes in the 2 corners of the bottom and in the center of the bottom, put your head through the center, put your arms through the corners, and you have a makeshift rain poncho that'll keep you dry enough to get home. You can wear that under your jacket or over it, depending on how silly you want to look. Tip number 3, handguards. Now, obviously, heated grips are a game changer and they're so nice to have in the winter and the cold weather. I used to think it was kind of superfluous and unnecessary, but man, once I got them on my bike, I used them way more often than I thought I would. So heated grips are great, but if you don't have heated grips and or if you want to improve the efficacy of your heated grips, blocking the wind, which is blowing across your hands and stealing all of your heat, can make a big difference. So your standard handguards help a little. If you have those on your dual sport or adventure bike, they will deflect some wind, but there's also options like the Giant Loop Bushwhackers, which are a big plastic handguard that you can put on. They look silly, they look like moose antlers, but man, they make a big difference. Or our personal favorite here at MotoCamp Nerd is Hippo hands, which we also sell on the site, and I'll link for you in the description. But hippo hands are like mittens, kind of. They're called hippo hands because they make your hands look like you're a hippo on the bars, but they're just a big cozy cocoon that you stick your hand into. They block the wind, they're waterproof, they are insulated, and if you have heated grips in particular, man, it's super warm and cozy inside those things. But even if you don't, they allow you to wear lighter gloves so that you can feel the bars better. So if you're like me and you don't love the bulky, super heavy duty insulated gloves, you can get those hippo hands and run lighter gloves and still be able to maintain ultimate control of your bars. Tip number 4, this is a little total luxury, seems super bougie, but heated gear. You can buy heated gear For your hands, you can buy battery-operated gloves that have heating elements in them. You can buy ones that connect to your bike. Same for like a jacket and pants. You can buy heated layers for each of those places. You can run them 12 volt or they make battery-operated options. The battery-operated options are great because you can continue wearing them when you get off the bike, and they usually are charged from a battery pack that you can also charge your phone or whatever off of, so it's got some versatility there. And you can even like wear your heated gear in your sleeping bag to like heat it up really quickly when you first get in at night. So there's a lot of versatility with that battery operated heated gear, and I will tell you, man, just having your chest warm while you're riding is a huge game changer. It is kind of annoying to have to plug it in every time you get on the bike, but worth it in my opinion. And tip number 5 is all about your visor and your visor fogging. So one of the most annoying things is when you're riding in the cooler weather and you're breathing, which unfortunately you have to do when you're riding, can't really cut that part out, and it's just continually fogging up the inside of your visor. Not only is it annoying to not be able to see, but it's also kind of unsafe. The best pick is a helmet with a pin lock visor, which is an insert that goes into your visor, creates an air pocket. It works in the same way a thermos does. Those are fantastic most of the time. I still struggle with those when I'm riding at slow speeds in cold and wet weather because my breath will still fog up the inside of the pin lock, albeit way more slowly, and it's generally more manageable. But those pin locks are a game changer on the highway. I say game changer a lot in this video. They're a game changer. It's like magic. It's crazy how well they work to keep your visor from fogging. So highly recommend a pin lock visor if you're going to be riding in cooler temperatures at all. It will make a big difference. You can also, and you knew I was going to find a way to work this in, wear a neck gaiter and pull it up over your mouth and nose to keep your breath from going directly onto your inner visor. So that will cut down on some of that internal fogging, and bonus, will keep your face warm, keep the wind off of it, which is nice. Also, a lot of helmets have that one click open setting, so they'll have multiple notches, right? And there's one that's about this open, and that gets you some airflow, which in general will flow enough air to keep that visor defrosted, so you can ride with it open just that far. You're not getting blasted with cold air. And you can also use various anti-fog materials to keep the inside of your visor from fogging up, so that you can buy anti-fog. Rain-X makes an anti-fog. That stuff is good and lasts longer, but if you're in a pinch, you can use things like spit, at least help mitigate some of the fogging on the inside of your visor. It makes it harder for the water to stick to it. You can use shaving cream, toothpaste, I've heard, dish soap, a potato. I heard a potato one time. The starch like makes it so that the inside of your visor is less sticky to water. I don't know. Those are in the field on the fly solutions, because you know we're always carrying potatoes with us when we're out riding. For a more permanent solution, definitely just invest in some anti-fog coating for the inside. Even with the pin lock, I would do both. And like I said, bonus, most of these tips not only keep you warmer on the bike, but they'll also keep you warmer in camp when you're walking around. Man, having a base layer on, when I'm camping in the fall, spring, and winter, I just never take that base layer off. I ride in it, I sleep in it, I hang out around camp in it, and it is so nice and cozy. So if you have any tips for riding in the cooler, wetter weather, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Make sure you pop over to motocampnerd.com to check out our selection of climb gear, the hippo hands that I mentioned, base layers for -33, and all of the gear you could possibly need for all of your motorcycle camping adventures, because MotoCamp Nerd has the world's largest, carefully curated selection of motorcycle camping gear. So make sure you pop over and check out the site, because MotoCamp Nerd has all the gear you need so you can pack small and camp easy.